Hello and welcome to Maths with Jacob. This lesson will focus on more fractions. This video follows on from the previous video where we introduced simple fractions. 2/3. Now basically we said before that the denominator tells us all the total number of parts. So if you see 1, 2, 3, so this circle here is divided into 3 parts. The 2 tells us how many we are considering. Now in this video we're going to consider all the shaded parts. So here is one shaded part here, and there is one shaded part there. So altogether there are 2 of those shaded parts out of a total of 3, so that's 2/3. 2/5, it's exactly the same thing. 2 represents the number of parts that are shaded, which are those 2, and 5 represents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the circle is divided into 5 parts altogether, and 2 of them are shaded, so the fraction is 2/5, which is 2/5. 3/4, there are 3 parts that are shaded, and there are 4 parts altogether, and that's why the fraction is 3/4. 4/5, 1, 2, 3, 4 parts are shaded. There is the 5th part, so that's why the fraction is 4/5. Now 2/4. Now let's look at that one first. 2 means that there are 2 parts that are shaded, and altogether there are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's why we get 2/4. But can you see, if we look at that top part there, pretend that's a pizza, and that whole top part there, the pizza has been cut along that line there, see? That's half the pizza up the top, see that? And half the pizza down the bottom. So in other words, 2/4 is the same as a half. Let's look at this one here, 2/6. 1 shaded part and 2 shaded parts. That's why we have 2. 6 means there are 6 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 parts altogether, so that's why we have 2/6. Now why is that 1/3? Well, let's have a look. If we take those 2 parts together, that's 1 part. This is a 2nd part, so let's take 2 at a time. And here's our 3rd part. So if we take them 2 at a time, that really means that this green part is actually 1/3. Because there's 1/3 there, there's the other third here, taking those 2 parts into account, and here's our 1/3 here. See that? So altogether, the green section is actually 1/3. Now 2/8. Now altogether we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's why we have the 8. The 2 means there are 2 green parts that are shaded. That's why it's 2/8. Now how do we get a quarter? Well, if you look at that section there, pretend that's part of a pizza, and you have that part there, that's actually a quarter of the pizza. And that's why that fraction is a quarter. 4/8. 8 means we have 8 parts, same as the top one. So we've got 8 parts altogether. Pretend there are 8 slices there of the pizza. That's why we have 8. The 4, they are the 4 shaded parts, 4/8. But if you look at that, if you slice the pizza down there like that, right down the centre, this green part, that whole green part there, is actually 1/2. And that's why 4/8 equals a half. And it's exactly the same reason. 3/6. Okay, there's the 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So pretend the pizza has been cut into 6 slices. The shaded section, there are 3 sections that are shaded. That's why it's 3/6. But if you slice the pizza down there, that's actually half the pizza. And that's why 3/6 equals a half. Let's look at 4/6. Now, The pizza again is sliced into 6 parts. However, we're just considering 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there we are. So that's 4 over 6. Now how does that equal 2/3? Well, if that part there equals 1/3, that part there equals another third, that's 2/3 altogether, and that part is also 1/3. So we've got 1/3 here, so that section there is 1/3, and that section there is another third, taking those two together. So altogether 1/3 plus another 1/3, that gives us 2/3, because this third here is not shaded. 6 over 8. The pizza is divided into 8 pieces. That's why we have 8. 6 of them are shaded. That's why we have 6. How come that equals 3/4? Well, that's pretty easy. That part is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and there's the 4th quarter there. So that's why 6 over 8 equals 3/4. Over here, the pizza has been divided into 10 parts, 10 slices, and 2 of them are shaded, this one and that one, and that's why we have 2 over 10. Now why is that equal to 1/5? Because there's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and 5/5. So that part there, the shaded part, is 1/5. 4 over 10. The pizza is divided into 10 slices. 4 of them are shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's why we have 4 over 10. Now why is that 2/5? Because that's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. So that's why those parts there together equal 2/5. And finally we have 6 over 10. We have 10 slices of the pizza. This time 6 of them are shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why we have 6 over 10. And that equals 3/5. And the reason is 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. So that's why the shaded section equals 3 over 5. So in this section we've looked at shading of given diagrams. They mainly represent pizzas, and we've seen how to simplify the fraction.